Welcome to the Empty Cup. I'm Tsering Padron, and this podcast is a small pause in the middle of our busy lives. A moment to look more closely at our mind, at our reactions, our fears, our hopes, and also the possibility of meeting life with more clarity and kindness. And these reflections are not about having the right answers. There is no right or wrong here. They're just invitations to slow down, to question the things we assume, and perhaps be more open to the simplicity of the moment. So wherever you are, just take a breath, hold your empty cup, and let us pour some tea for thought. In the Buddhist teachings, it is said that for some beings, dukkha, this underlying unease of existence, often translated as suffering, feels like an eyelash on the palm of the hand, whereas for others, it feels like an eyelash in the eye. For some, this unease is barely noticeable, a slight discomfort, something that can be ignored. But for others, it is immediate, intimate, impossible to overlook. As a teenager, I belonged to the second group. There was no outer reason. Nothing was particularly wrong. Life, from the outside, was it as it should be. And yet, something felt deeply, almost unbearably wrong. It wasn't sadness or depression. It was something more difficult to name. A kind of unease at the simple fact of being here. And it felt like I was perpetually running from it and never quite achieving. There was a sense of being out of place, as if reality were just beyond reach, as if something essential were missing, but I could not say what. Almost as if there was another layer to life, the real one, hidden behind what could be seen. And I didn't know how to enter it. At the time, I had no words for this. Only the disquieting feeling, almost unbearable. And for a long time, I thought it was just me. I had that it was something personal, something to fix, something that meant something was wrong with me. But later, after I came in contact with Buddhism, I began to understand that this feeling isn't personal. It is a part of the human condition, part of the experience of non-enlightenment. This sense that something is not quite complete, that something is missing, that what we long for is always just beyond reach. As if we were standing on one side of our life, and what we seek stood on the other somewhere else at another time, always, perpetually. And then for some, this appears as a mild dissatisfaction, a background restlessness, a sense that something more is needed, always. Whereas for others, it is definitely more intense, more present, almost like a silent but very present dread. And very early on, we begin to learn how to soften it. We find ways to cover it up, to manage it, to distract ourselves from it, to look elsewhere, to make sure we are never left alone with it. So we fall in love, we invest in relationships, we devote ourselves to work, we embark in adventures, we start projects, we seek meaning, we build identities strong enough to stand on, clear enough to give us a sense of direction or purpose or meaning. And then when something works, this unease recedes. Life feels aligned, coherent, as if the missing piece has finally been found. We call it happiness, meaning, purpose. We feel a little more at home, and in those moments it seems as if the search is over and we can finally rest. But then something happens, something shifts. A relationship changes or ends. A role dissolves. An inner or outer structure no longer holds. Sometimes it's nothing really dramatic happening at all. Simply what once felt solid fades, and suddenly the pain returns. Strong, immediate, unavoidable. We say we are grieving the loss, and we are, of course. But if we look carefully, there is something beneath the grief. Something older, something that was there before. Something that has always been there. The place we thought had disappeared, it's exposed again. And we realize it never really went away. It was only temporarily covered. And so we begin to ask ourselves, what if loss does not create this pain? What if it just reveals it? What if what we are feeling was always there, quietly waiting, beneath everything we used to hold ourselves together? And this is not a comfortable recognition. And the immediate instinct is to find something else, to fill the space again, to restore the sense of coherence, to move away from that rawness. But if for a moment we do not rush, if we can hold the pain, face the fear, if we allow the feeling to remain just as it is, without covering it, without explaining it, without trying to fix it or blame anyone for it, something begins to change, very subtly. The ache loses its story. It is no longer about this person or this situation or this loss. Those may have revealed it, yes, but they are not its source. And when the story softens, what remains is something very simple. Rawness, an openness, a kind of unprotected aliveness. Slightly painful, yes, but also very direct, very real, without the layers of interpretation, without the attempt to make it into something else. Just this. And in that simplicity, there is something unexpected. The unease is no longer something to escape from. It becomes something we can stay with. And we recognize it not as a problem, but as a doorway. A doorway into a more immediate contact with life, without the need to resolve it, without the need to complete it. And perhaps this is where something begins to shift. not by finding what we thought we were looking for, but by no longer needing to look outside, elsewhere, and allowing ourselves to be exactly where we already are. Here, even like this. Of course, something else will come that will soothe that ache. The vulnerability will not stay exposed forever. However, every moment of recognition, every time we sit with it, without rushing into covering it up again with something else, things become clearer. We become braver, freer, more resilient, and with that, more capable of living fully from a place of authenticity. And this, my friend, was today's tea for thought. Bye for now. Until next time, keep the cup empty and the heart open.